Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your newest source for all things Final Fantasy TCG. Don't regret any of the choices that I made as far as as far as anything goes.
It's rolling.
Oh, we're rolling. Oh, hey guys, welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast. Kind of a different episode because we're up here in Boston. We just finished the Crystal Cup Earth, and this was actually the first one in North America. Great time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Great experience. I'm Chris Adams.
Yeah.
With me is Adam Lane. No Andrew Lane this time because he couldn't get away from the domestic life long enough to get away, to come up here and enjoy himself with the boys. But,
yeah, I was able to get away for a couple of days, and
Yeah, me too.
It was a good time, for sure.
Yeah, dude, I enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to process. It's been, a really fun couple days. I think we'll start with, the decks we picked for this weekend. Adam, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I mulled a lot about, what to play.
Mm-hmm.
I was in between, probably 3 to 4 decks
Mm-hmm.
up until, maybe the last couple of days where I had finally narrowed it down to a few. And then I, a couple days before, I saw another interesting deck that I was thinking about playing, which was, the Carbuncle deck.
Yeah, deck's dope.
But then the more I played with it, the more I realized I don't think I was ready to play it. So I kind of just went back to what I thought, which I think is currently, at least right now, the strongest deck, which was Mono Ice. I thought that it gave me, the best chance to qualify, which is what my goal. My goal is top 4.
Sure.
So I felt like, just through testing and stuff, that Mono Ice gave me the best chance to do what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So.
Sure, and your your build was a little different than the ones you see. You're playing more of the UK style with much less backups, more forwards, different kind of mix of summons and things like that.
Yeah, so the whole idea was you cut down to a low backup count, so that way when you strip their hand in the late game, your top decks are just better than their top decks because you're top decking forwards. And typical decks run 17 backups or so. And so they're more likely to draw dead on backups than I am. And it also lets me run more summons. So I ran, the Doom Trains, Mateus, a one of Shiva, and what was my last summon? Oh, Zalera.
Oh yeah, Zalera's good, and when you have Orphan, you don't really need Shivas all that much anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So why don't we talk about the deck that you chose to play?
Oh man, I went with Old Trusty. I went with the same one I went with up at the Ohio Petite Cup. I went with Fire Ice Final Fantasy VI aggro. Couple of changes. In the build I ran in Ohio, I ran 3 Shivas, 1 Vayne, and 18 backups. Well, I kind of switched it up a little bit. Through testing, the deck is still really strong. Through testing, we realized that Black Waltz kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The card just isn't good. So I was like, you know what? Let me just cut to 17 backups because I realized I'm not really ever going higher than 3, maybe 4 backups. So I was like, let's put a second Vayne in there. And then I cut down to 2 Shivas and added 1 Doom Train, which actually was really, really good for me this weekend. It proved to have a lot of value. But it was great as a one-of. It was good when I needed it, and I never felt like if I had to get rid of it, it never felt bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was really good for me as well. I ran 3, however.
Oh, sure. It's a good card.
And, it helped me against Lightning. Just being able to duel my own guy and force them to pitch when they tried to play out Sid. It helped me close out games just by being able to dull and freeze something.
Sure.
That normally would be harder to dull and freeze, say a Ranger.
Yeah.
And things like that. It was a really good card.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good segue. Let's talk about the matchups you came up against and how you finished the day overall.
So my first opponent was Wind Water Standard Units.
Mm-hmm.
A deck that I believe I mentioned on the last episode of the podcast that, not a lot of people are playing anymore, but there's no way that it's bad.
Sure.
Right out the gate, I see that. He probably played 4 Rangers on me just through Gladiator and everything else, but I was able to, use my Mateuses to basically get around a lot of things, and then close out the game with Renoa.
Sure.
He just couldn't deal with her, and then by the time he was on 6. There was just like pretty much basically nothing he could do.
Oh, sure. Because Orphan's probably coming down pretty soon after that.
Yeah, so yeah, Orphan was pretty big. I don't remember if I played him that game though. Then my second opponent was Mike from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
So
Shout outs to the Game Haven, I believe, is the store that they go to.
Yeah, I believe so. So it was kind of funny. So Mike was one of my last opponents at the Charlotte event. He was on Wind Water then. So I was expecting something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking like right before the round started actually, and then the postings went up, and I saw his name on there, and I went to sit down, and then I saw him like trying to look to see like who he had to play, and I pointed at him and pointed right in front of me, and we were laughing, and neither one of us was very happy that we had to play each other round 2.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down, and I knew I was in for like a tough match because I know Mike's a strong player.
Yeah, y'all played in the top tables in the last Swiss round in ARG Charlotte.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was the victor then. I lost that round.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was on a very interesting like water, ice, vomity deck with like the starter Garnet.
Yeah.
With like card draw and Shivas and stuff. And he would just kind of flood the board with like Thaumaturge and Judge Geese and Zargabath.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of make, like, it was pretty fast. So I was able to kind of put him on the back foot early. I had like an early Setzer, early Genesis, early Lock, like within like the first 3 to 4 turns.
Sure.
To put pressure on him. And he was kind of having to block with a lot of his small stuff. And I was also able to hit a lot of his really key summons, like on the damage zone. I think the damage zone had 2 Shivas, 2 Mateus, just in the damage zone alone. And then I believe he hit a Jill on me, so I was able to freeze some stuff and keep him freeze down. And then I just ended that game with Orphan was just a lockdown.
Oh sure,
I played
as
Orphan,
he typically is.
And it was funny. Like normally when I play Orphan, it was kind of over in a couple turns, but against him, it actually Orphan was swinging for about he swung for 4 or 5 turns before I was able to finish him off because his board was just so big. Mm-hmm. So I was able to win that, which made me feel really good. I was like, I'm 2-0. I just beat a really good player, so I was feeling really confident. And then coming off of that, I had to go to... Who did I play next? I'm trying to remember. So I lost to Ice, I lost to Earth, and I lost to...
Now keep in mind there were 7 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah, there were 7 rounds. Yeah, it was a lot to keep track of. But I lost my next match. I'm trying to recall what it was. I don't remember. So, but I definitely lost my next match. And then after that, I was able to win again, so I was 3-1.
Going into the lunch break.
Yeah, they had like a 40 or 50 minute lunch break, and we came back, and I'm sitting across from another one of the Pennsylvania guys who I also know is pretty strong, and that was Colin.
Yep.
And I didn't know what he was playing at the time, but I saw as soon as we both played our first backups, I knew we were both on mono ice. Mm-hmm. And our decks were only different by a few cards, to be honest. He was playing Thaumaturge, I was not.
Sure.
The
card's great, by the way.
Ended up being a really good card. So I went turn 1, Banana Sid, to get the Setzer, to line up for like pretty much my ideal like turn 2 play. And then he pitched his entire hand to freeze my backup with Celis, and then make me pitch a card with Thaumaturge, which then made my next turn very awkward because the only forwards that I could play were Renoa and Setzer. So I either had to overpay for Renoa or like basically pitch my entire hand to play Setzer.
Yeah.
And so I went with the Renoa, and like we were going back and forth, trading damage a lot, and then our boards kind of got pretty big. Neither one of us saw Orphan.
That's
the
crazy.
whole game. Orphan, I think, would have been a blowout on either side. If one of us had saw it, I think it would have been a blowout on either side. But neither one of us saw it. And then he was just able to push through the last couple points of damage, and he beat me 7 damage to 5 damage.
Nice.
So it was really, really close, and pretty hard matchup, like for the two, like between the two, and it was really close, and he was able to edge it out. So then now, I'm sitting at 3-2. I'm thinking like, okay, I can still make it in. I just gotta win out. And then they actually got pushed back a few tables, which surprised me, because I felt like my tiebreakers were still pretty good. Oh, I remember my loss was to the Mono Lightning player.
Oh, Anthony Figura.
Yeah. So if we go back to that, actually, so
another great human being, by the way.
yeah. So the round, and now he was also a very, very strong player. That was the first.
He's a great player.
First opportunity I got to play him. I got blown out in that match because he dropped a Zemus, and I wasn't able to answer for 3 turns, and it just got out of control. He was able to recycle an Alcid and an Edea, and that was game. I got my ass handed to me. It wasn't even close. So then fast forward back, I'm coming off at 3-2, and I get sent back like a table or two, and I sit down and I start playing, and I see my opponent drop Earth cards, and I'm like, great, this is gonna suck. But I was able to like draw into some Mateuses and stuff, and the match was pretty even. He wiped my board with the 4 Chantoto, which felt really bad, but I was still keeping up with him, and it was 5 damage to 6. He had already blown me out because I had tried the Mateus 1 time or 2 times, and he had Titan both times, and I had to get rid of a guy that I just couldn't deal with. So my thoughts in my head were, okay, I can party attack and get the 6 point of damage in, or I could try to bluff a 3rd Mateus, which doesn't exist in my deck. So I went for the party attack, thinking that he would probably call my bluff. But now that I'm looking back on it, I think I should have just bluffed it and kept the 2 forwards upright. So what happened was he let the attack go through because his Chantoto was frozen and he had a guy upright, and I had a blocker in Genesis. But he went to swing with his guy, and as soon as I went to declare a block, he just cockatriced, and that was the game. So I lost 7-6, and now I'm 3-3. And so at that point, I'm already thinking like, yeah, I'm probably out. Like, I don't think a 3 loss makes it in. My last game goes pretty easy. I played against a Moogle deck. It was over pretty quick. He just couldn't get started on me really. I was able to strip his hand, and he wasn't really able to do much. So I was sitting at 4-3, pretty sure that I wasn't in. So how did your matchups go?
It was pretty good. My first match was against actually a newer player. He said he'd been playing for about a month or so, and he was playing this fire, wind, kind of low to the ground aggro deck. He wasn't ready for like the turn 1 lock, haste, damage, and pitch. Like I came out of the gate swinging on this one. And then it turned into a turn 2 Celis, freeze the forward he played. I'm sorry, the backup that he played on his first turn. I just kind of turned on the gas and never looked back. He did get 1 point of damage on me because I swung out to put him at 6, and he dropped like a hasty Tifa and just swung him. He knew the game was over.
Yeah.
But he was really, like, he was a really good person. We just, like, we actually spent, our match was over at the 24-minute mark, and rounds are 30 minutes. And we just kept jamming games afterwards, because we had so much time left, and I was teaching him stuff about his deck. So he was a new player. He had a really good time, and, the match went pretty quick, but he learned a lot when we were playing after that. My second round, I believe, was against, I want to say I don't remember if I went 2-0 or 1-1. Trying to think of what I played up against next.
I feel like you were 1-1.
Yes, I was, because I played against, I believe his name was Greg Cole. He was a guy out from Cali. Pardon me. He was playing Mono Earth. Again, started out with a real strong open, really got in there fast. But this Mono Earth deck, this thing was just filled to the brim with EX bursts. Like, first point of damage was a minor. I'm like, okay, cool, and I'm feeling good. But then, like, he's pitching his hand to play big guys and Raubon my stuff, and then I'm flipping just EX burst after burst. I want to say, like, he hit Raubon, he hit Mustadio, he hit Atmos, the 6 drop one. So I was never able to really apply pressure. He ended up winning 7-5. So it was a close match, but just those EX bursts just ate me alive. Greg was a great player, by the way, and we'll catch up back with him later. Round 3, I go up against I want to say I'm playing against Mono Water. It might have been Mono Water. Because it was, it was over very quickly. Because out to the races again, Celis, freeze your backup, haste, swing, and I set him back every turn.
Yep.
It was another 7 damage to 1 win, and again, my match was over in like 5 minutes. So I'm 2-1 going into round 3, and then going into round 4. And round 4, I played against Jean Paul, who is a guy from Maryland, but he comes down to the Fredericksburg store and plays at YHP. He was on Water Lightning Knights that played more, like, it had a lot more of, like, the mono water aspects. Like, the lightning was very much a splash. And I got real greedy in this match. Like, it was a close match. It was, again, 7 damage to 5. I got real greedy. And I swung into an Ash that I knew he could ready when all I really had to do was stay back. But he played it smart. He had Leviathans on deck. He knew what he was doing. So I'm 2-2 going into the break. And I'm thinking, man, I was like, I really need to like step up. Mm-hmm. So I actually didn't even eat lunch. I just jammed games with one of the judges the whole time. So we come back, and I think right after the lunch break, I'm playing against this is wind, water, standard units, and I just blow it up. He starts out really good with some hasters. But I'm able to just lock his stuff down with
Was it
chills.
more like the Chocobo thing?
Yeah. And I'm able to lock his stuff down with Shivas and Jills, and I'm able to just push through the last few points of damage. I think I won this one 7 points of damage to 4. Then my next 2 matches, I'm trying to remember what they were, but I won these also very handily. They were
definitely played against a mono lightning player.
Yes, Daniel. Yes, I played against him. He was a mono lightning player. It was another 7-1 blow up. I did the same thing that I did against mono water. Celis, freeze your back up, haste, go, and then I never looked back.
Yep.
And anytime he tried to block, I had Mateus on deck. It was over. Again, it was another 5-minute match. And then the last round, I played against. Let's try to think of what it was. Might have been. I don't remember. I don't remember what my last round was, but I know I won this one 7 damage to 1 as well.
Okay.
So I finished the day 5-2. Like, all of my matches were very, very quickly over very quickly. Even the ones that I lost, I was always one of the first ones done, because that's the thing about playing an aggro deck. The match is always going to be over because you're going to get exposed, you're going to get blown up by something, and then you just can't really recover because you put a lot of resources into that early aggression.
Yep.
So I finished 5-2. Swiss rounds are over. Then, so earlier in the day, kind of backtrack a bit, they mentioned that it's not a top 8 cut, but it's a top 16 cut because we had 91 players.
Yeah, so that was interesting because normally I was expecting like a top 8, and then when they said, "Oh, day 2 is going to be top 16," so I believe the final number was 109 registrants.
Yeah, and then we had like I think like
90 something people actually played. I don't know, the other people actually didn't ever show up. But if you want to go further back about here before we got on the train to get into the city.
Oh my God! Yeah. So, like, we're sitting there at the train station, and I, like, feel something land on my head. And then I see it roll off onto the bench. And I'm like, this bird just shit on my head? I just had a bird just drop a duker right on my head. And thankfully, it was, like, a solid one. Here we are talking about poop. We had a turd merger.
So, yeah, I remember you were already pretty down at that point. You're like, man, this is a bad sign. And I was like, no, man, it's a good sign. You're going to be fine. Yeah,
like usually like when the bird shits on you, like after you've had a few things go wrong, that's when it's a bad sign. But I guess if you start the day with a bird shitting on you, you're in good shape. Well, now we're going to fast forward back to where they go ahead and now they go over the standings and they reveal the top 16.
So spoiler alert, I already knew I didn't make the cut.
So
I finished around 24th. I think it was the final number.
Right.
It was either, I think it was 24th or 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in there.
Well, we had one undefeated player, Andy Carmona from Florida.
From Florida.
Yep.
Strong mono lightning player.
Oh, probably one of the best. Then we had 4 X and 1s.
Yep.
And then there were 12 X and 2s.
Yeah, so 2 didn't make it in.
2 didn't make it in. So they start reading down, and I'm looking like my tiebreakers finished near the top. So I'm thinking, hey, this is good. And also the amount of damage I took was square. That's like the second tiebreaker. It's damage received. Mm-hmm. I took the third least amount of damage out of the entire field the entire day. Just because all of my wins but one were 7-1 blowouts.
Yep.
So they start reading down the names, and Adam's like, you probably made it in, I'd say around 12th.
Yeah, that was my guess.
So they read off the names going down to the top. I actually have the list of the top 16 players. I don't have them in order. But, well, actually, I do have them in order. Andy Carmona was seeded first.
Yep.
Number 2 was Jonathan Ciorda, which I probably butchered his last name, but another great human being.
Yeah, he was on mono water, but like the Fasoya build.
Yes, which was sick.
Yeah, I liked his build a lot.
I did too.
Really good.
And then we had Max Williams seeded third.
Who was on mono water monsters.
Yeah, that was a neat deck. And then we have Anthony Fagora, the Lightning player you were talking about, seeded fourth. Colin Rupert, one of your opponents, seeded fifth.
Yep, so 2 of my losses were 4 and 5.
There you go. The numbers Brian Berkeley, 6th seed, also on Fire Ice Aggro, which he was my hero of the day. Gregory Cole, the Mono Earth player that I lost to in round 2, seeded 7th. 8th seed, we have Matt Okimoto.
Yeah, who was on Ice Earth.
Yep, on Ice Earth. Kind of a household name in this game. The 9th seed is Alexander Tesmer.
I don't know what he was on.
I do not either, unfortunately. I'd like to know. 10th seed was Arlen Gonzalez. He might have been on Mono Lightning. I'm pretty sure he was on Mono Lightning.
I think he was on Mono Lightning.
The number 11 seed was Irvin Diaz.
I don't know what he was on either.
I don't know. I really wish I'd have paid more attention. Number 12 was Andrew Good. I want to say he was on Mono Ice. He was one of the Game Haven, Pennsylvania players.
Was he on Mono Ice?
He might have been.
I feel like he was on like Wind something.
Mm-hmm.
He usually plays Wind, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I never really got a chance to look at his deck. 13th seed was Sam Riley, another household name. He was
also played Ice Earth.
Yep. But more of like Mono Ice with...
It was a different build.
Chaos to splash Shantoto. At least that's what I saw.
He had Dotalumas in there.
Oh, did he? Okay. Okay, I didn't see all that. Because I was sitting next to his match in the first round, and all I saw was Earth cards and a Shantoto, and I was like, well, all right.
Yeah, I think there was more Earth there than you think. But it wasn't like Okimoto's, though. It was different.
Mm-hmm. And then the 14th seed, we had John Schreiner. He was on Mono Water.
Yeah, so if you want to... we'll take a slight break there. So at this point, I had said you were probably going to be 12 or 13. So I know you were probably sweating bullets.
Sweating a little, and that's why when they announced the time, they said 2 weren't going to make it in. I yelled out, I was like, mention the 2 that aren't going to make it.
Yeah, and everybody was like, no, please don't do that.
All right, so John Schreiner, number 14. I actually had a lot of great games with him. It was funny because in the title format tournament, me and him were both playing Tactics, which was really cool, and we played... he was the last Wolf's Den game that I played. We'll talk more about that later. Number 15...
What was he on in the
He was on Mono Water.
Okay.
Number 15's Chris Adams. Maybe you've heard of that guy?
Yeah, we might know him.
Yeah, we might know him. Oh, that's me. Yeah, able to squeak in at 15. I was on Fire Ice, as I mentioned. And the number 16C was a Brian... his last name is OK. His last name is the letters OK. I don't know if it's spelled Oak, OK, whatever.
Sure.
I don't want to butcher his name. If you ever listen to this and you want to hit us up with the phonetics, please do. But yeah, that rounded out the top 16. So I made it in, made the day 2 cut. And when I went to look at the tiebreakers, I actually had a pretty... My percentage was pretty well above the bottom, the last 16. So I wasn't worried. At the point when I saw the math, I was like, oh, I had nothing to be worried about. So yeah, it was a lot of pressure off. Made the day 2 cut. I was pretty exhausted. The weather up here, I went from 70 degrees and sunny down in Virginia to it's snowing all day. So that's kind of why I'm sounding a little hoarse and coughing today. I've caught something, but I don't feel sick. But it just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, the weather was definitely up and down, but it's up north.
Yeah, it was to be expected. So I did dress accordingly, but yeah, man, day 1 was good. I came home and crashed immediately, feeling good. Go to day 2, it's a fresh tournament. All the matches in top 16 are 2 out of 3.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, funny thing, so we were told to be back at 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
And so so there was train. They had maintenance on the train tracks, and we didn't know about it the night before.
Oh yeah.
And so our train ride on day 1 was about 25 minutes. So we're thinking, all right, let's set our alarms later because we planned to be there at 9 the day before. Oh, yeah. So yeah, we'll just roll in around 10.
Yeah, we get to sleep in, be cozy.
And so I wake up to my first alarm Like, because I had set an alarm for 7:30, so that we could, like, get ready, and I had time to, like, take a shower and everything.
Sure.
But I wake up to my first alarm, and I'm looking at train times. I'm like, yeah, I might as well see what train we're going to catch. And I see that the trains on Saturday are going to take an hour. And the only train times I see from the station that we were leaving from were 7:50 in the morning and 9:40, which would put us past 10:30.
Yep.
So that kind of sucked. It kind of made us sad. We had to get out of bed earlier than we wanted to.
Yeah, so you come wake me up from my NyQuil-induced slumber.
Yeah.
And we immediately have to get up because apparently they're doing construction every weekend until like the end of May.
Yeah.
So they had us pretty much taking shuttle buses to a stop that's like right outside the city, and then you take the train for 2 stops into the South Station.
Yeah.
So, that bus ride was probably 30, 40 minutes, and then you're on the
Something
train
like that.
for another 15 to 20.
Yep.
So we still got there pretty early. We got there at like 8:30, so now we're looking for a spot for breakfast. So shout out to South Street Diner.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yo, man, we got a ringside seat to just good old-fashioned back of the house beratement and yelling.
The food was good, though.
Oh, food was great. I didn't realize scrambled eggs and waffles got so heated.
Yeah, I mean, not to spend too much time on that, but it was interesting, and the food was good. And then we were able to make it back in. So we were like, probably at this point, like, 20 minutes early or so. Like, we're at the venue. They told us, like, we can't come in. Like, you gotta wait. And then we kind of try to, like...
muscle our way
in. Yeah, we're like, yeah, strike the numbers. Let's go see if we can just go sit down.
Yeah, man, we opened the door, and they flipped that Jill EX burst. They froze us in our tracks. They were like, nope.
Yeah, so that's when they told us. They were like, oh, well, the tournament actually, the top 16 doesn't actually start until 11. Mm-hmm. So you guys kind of have to sit out here. But then you had to check in. So we were just chilling, talking.
Yeah, jamming some games, hanging out. So yeah, we were having a lot of fun. And then, top 16 starts. We go in, they pair us up. They do deck checks for all of us to make sure.
Yep.
And they did like photos of top 16. So be on the lookout for the 16-man Manderville photo coming to either the Square Enix website, Mognet. So it'll be somewhere because I want to see it. But so they sit us down, they do all of our deck checks, and then they pair us off. My opponent was in fact Jonathan. I'm gonna butcher his last name again because I'm a horrible human being. Jonathan Ciorda. He was on the Mono Water for Soya build.
Yep.
So we start playing. He's on the play, which is fine because I want to go second because I actually had of that group, him, Sam, and Andy. I had no idea what he was on.
Yeah, we thought the night before, so we assumed because he was with Andy and Sam that in all likelihood he would be on Mono Lightning. That was our guess, but we didn't know for sure. So we were kind of like talking through the matchup of Mono Lightning, expecting that's what you were probably going to play. But that you should probably still expect other things because we weren't 100% sure.
Yeah, so and I was like, the decks I could expect were Mono Lightning, Mono Ice, Mono Water, and Mono Earth. Yeah. Monocolor decks, my deck does very well against because most monocolor decks you want to build a little bit. So he wins the roll. So he plays backup, does typical Mono Water stuff, and I'm like, got him. So I think I want to say I drop a Hasty Genesis because it was the best thing I had in my hand. So I'm going in hot.
Yep.
And I pretty much steamrolled him game 1. Like game 1 was pretty easy. But then game 2 rolls around and he adjusted so well. Like I can't say enough because he got the Fasolia rolling. What was blowing me up was Fasolia on my stuff after Beatrix swings.
Yep.
Which even if I have Duke Larg out, that's killing most of my board.
Yeah, but at least I think just to talk about it, and we had also talked with Sam Riley about it as well. Mm-hmm. Like Duke Larg was like pivotal in that matchup though, just to force him to at least you had to have the Beatrix at that point. Yeah. Otherwise, your stuff becomes a lot harder to deal with.
Yeah, and it's not like the next 2 games weren't close,
right.
But he just once he got like Ethereal Summoner going, putting bursts on the top, then hit me with Fasolia, like his deck was firing on all cylinders. And like I can't even act like the reason the games were close was because he was doing damage to himself with Fasolia, which you would think with an aggro deck that would put me in a better position, but no, he just grossly outplayed me. Yeah. Just because I wasn't ready for the Fasolia Beatrix stuff, and I did my best to keep Beatrix locked down. But then it's like, all right, cool. Well, here's Cecil. Here's this. Here's that. So he just grossly outplayed me. So he won. My run comes to an end. But also turns out Jonathan actually ended up making top 4, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So he proceeded to play well, and he actually won game 2. I didn't realize he had Blitz Ace Titus in his deck. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does, especially if you're doing damage to yourself with Soya. So he took me to the cleaners games 2 and 3. So I mean, it was good to, it's good to see what that kind of deck can do, because like I said, it's just the nature of the deck I play. I don't get to really see what the other person's playing. I know that sounds kind of weird and almost like cocky in a sense, but if my deck's playing right, I don't get to see what you're playing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was really neat to see that. And so after that, a couple other matches. I don't really know. I know how the first round went because they kept it on a bracket, but
we could just kind of skip to the top 4.
Yeah, top 4 was Colin Rupert.
Yep.
Max Williams, Jonathan Ciorda, and Matthew Okimoto.
Yeah, so that means 2 water decks.
Yep, so we had
which were different.
Yep, they were grossly different.
Yeah, so you got the Fasolia build and you got the monster build.
Yep.
I believe he was running Schrodinger.
He was, and that card was super effective in the build he was running, for sure.
Yeah, and then you had Okimoto on Ice Earth and Colin on Mono Ice.
Yep.
So again, one of our earlier losses, top 4. Makes me feel a little better, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we had a good match. Like the quality of play at this tournament was
I was
really
actually
high.
just getting ready to say, like, this wasn't anything you've played at a local tournament or a weekly, unless you live in an area full of killers. The competition at this tournament was high, save for a few newer players from the area. You're like,
sure.
I want to check this out. But in a 91-person field, I would dare say 85 of those 91 were all just really, really good players.
Yeah.
So there was nobody who didn't really stop. I mean, people misplay all the time, but there weren't people that were just making stupid plays because they don't know how to play the game.
Yep.
Nobody was on some random jank. Everybody was playing, an archetype that has been talked about in Opus 5, has been tried and true, in previous iterations. So you had a lot of strong competition, which the fact that I was able to make the cut in this competition, said something about, my level of play, and the fact that, we have a good group in Richmond that we can all play and test again. It's weird to say that, wow, yeah, we're actually pretty good at this. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of weird to say.
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty confident about how I played. Like I said, looking back, there were definitely some things I would change. Like some lines that I took that I could have took some different lines, and that's just about evolving as becoming a better player.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel pretty good about it. I played 24th. I mean, 1 game shy of the cut. Didn't feel too bad.
No, not at all.
And I think I was pretty high on tiebreakers for being 4 and 3.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, two of my 3 losses were to number 4 and number 5.
Yeah.
In the tournament. And I felt like only one match wasn't close, and that was the Mono Lightning match.
Yeah, that guy's a good player.
He was really good, and like I said, he played a card that I needed to answer, and I couldn't answer it.
And I think it's funny because Anthony, he actually beat Sam in his top 16 match, and it was the same reason he beat you. Anthony had a Zemus on the board, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Zemus is just one of those cards where you play that card. If he has valuable target, if he already has his backup built, so you want to play it when you already have your backup. So when Anthony played it on me, he already had 4, which I think is a good number.
Well, he was super rampy too. You look. I remember playing. I looked over. Their match just started. I looked back over. He's already at 4 backups. Yeah. I'm like, Christ.
I mean, that's what Lightning wants to do, and that's why you run 1-drops backups to ramp, because for that Adia value. So he hard casted Adia on me to remove something, and then I was able to kill the Adia. Then he dropped Zemus. So then the turn after that, he Zemused an Alcid back in to remove something again, and then was able to Zemus and Adia in, and at that point, I knew I was pretty much done, and then he went ahead and slammed down a Ramza for 2 mana, and I extended my hand. I was like, you got it, man. I have no answer for that.
Yeah.
And we even talked about it after. I was like, I was praying for Genesis. I really need a Genesis to deal with Zemus, or I knew I was done.
Turns out, Zemus, Ramza, Alua, all these new Lightning cards,
pretty good.
They're pretty damn powerful. They are pretty powerful.
So you round out the top 5. So Okimoto was able to defeat Colin.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get to catch much of the match.
Yeah, because they were in the feature area and they were pretty big about like not having. They were like, hey,
yeah, you weren't allowed to be.
Yeah, no. RB was like, hey, if you want to watch these matches, just pull them up on your phone. We just want to keep people clear so that no interruptions, no distractions. Which is fine. I totally get that. You want to make sure they can concentrate, they can play. I mean, this is the first Crystal Cup in North America. They've already qualified for national at this point, but now they're playing to win.
Yeah, and then the other match was the two water players squaring off against each other. And a key interaction happened that we were talking about actually the day before the tournament. And I brought it up as a question, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Bismarck, because Anthems are field abilities, that Bismarck cuts in half and then adds back to it.
Mm-hmm. Because of the way Bismarck is worded as opposed to other power reductions.
Yeah.
Because Bismarck says reduced by half, not by a number.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the way that works is if something is reduced by, say, like Cognazzo reduces by 1,000 power for such and such, Bismarck just straight reduces by half.
Yeah, so he miscalculated.
Yeah.
Because he thought it worked a different way than it did. And I think he got blown up by that. I don't remember if that was game 1 or game 2.
I think it was game 2 because I think he got 2-0'd.
Oh, he did get 2-0.
I'm pretty sure. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like that was what cost him game 2.
Yeah, so then that made the grand finals Max versus Okimoto, which was Ice Earth versus the Water Monsters.
Yep. And I actually will probably go back and watch because those are available to watch on
the Break Zone's YouTube.
Yeah, they're actually not on that one. They're on Square Enix Presents.
Oh, really?
Like yeah, they'll probably be on Break Zone eventually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Maybe they were doing it for Square.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
But the links are up. You can find them in the Facebook groups. You can even find them on Kageyama's Twitter.
Yep. So, spoiler alert, Okimoto was able to win.
Oh, yeah.
I think, was it 2-1?
I don't know. I didn't
sure
watch any of the match. I was too busy busting ass in side events.
Yeah, we were doing side events, but we were also kind of paying attention. There was a key play that I did want to talk about that I thought was really cool. Okimoto had the new Legendary Emperor out.
Yeah.
And Max had a Cleone. And he was able to force pop the Cleone, forcing Max to draw a card, which then triggered Emperor's new ability, and he was able to dull and freeze. I think Max's only forward to win the game, which it's just such a cool line for me, like to see to win a game off. I mean, Okimoto's a really smart player. They're both smart players. So
yeah, again, field full of killers, man. Field full of killers.
Yeah, so definitely congrats to Okimoto. Came here from California.
Yeah, man. Cali took the first one home, man. That's great. A lot of great players out there. But while all that was going on, we were playing. They had this little thing called the Wolves Den, where it was. They had several matches set up, and it was pretty much winner stays on the sticks. Yeah. So as long as you're sitting there winning, you keep playing, and the line keeps going around and rotating through. Yeah,
because I sat down pretty much instantly because you were already playing your top 16 match, and I wanted to watch it at first, but RB was kind of like you can't be near the table, so I was like, okay, fine. I was like, I guess I'll go play Wolves Den for a bit, and I sat down and I was able to rifle off some wins with Mono Ice because I had no decks built to meet all the other achievements, so they had achievements, which was cool.
Most Chocobos, most Moogles, and I don't have a deck that goes through any of this criteria.
Yeah, so the first was most wins, then there was most losses. Most cards with Moogle in the art. Most cards with Chocobos in the art. Most signs of the 7th Dawn without using Hoshmail. And what was the last one? Most monsters, I believe was the last one. So the one I remember off the top of my head, I think the most Chocobos...
most CP spent in a turn.
Most CP spent in a turn, which I think ended up being 17.
Yes.
And then the most Chocobos played was the craziest one to me. I think the guy had 16 on the field at one time.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at that point, you and your opponent are like, hey, let me just do this.
Maybe. Yeah, it's possible.
Look, I'll throw the match. You just let me do this.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I was able to get 4 wins. And then at that point, I lost and then went to the back of the line. And then that's when they were saying, hey, if you want to play in the title tournament, you got to sign up now. So I went to sign up. And I had to kind of put stuff that I was using in my other decks to finish out my title decks. Because I brought one because I knew that this was going to happen, and if I, didn't do well day one or wasn't in by the time it started, I was going to enter in.
Right.
And I think you would plan to do the same.
Yeah, same. So once my top 16 match was over, I got up and I was like, oh, I went to ask one of the judges, hey, when does the title tournament start? But after I finished playing my match with Jonathan, we talked for a little bit afterwards, and he was like, yeah, we need to collaborate, on his YouTube site, on our podcast.
Sure.
We're working on some collaborations with other groups here in the future. He was like, are you going to play in the title tournament? I was like, yeah, but, I was so exhausted last night, I didn't build, because I was going to build a Final Fantasy 12 title deck. But I just, with me not feeling well, I duped myself up on Dayquil, and it was lights out for me at like 9 o'clock. So he was like, here, you want to borrow mine? It's Tactics. I was like, well, that'd be awesome. How about, yeah. So I take it, and then I go play some Wolves Den games, and I pile up 4 wins back to back to back to back to back, too.
Yeah.
So I never leave the sticks until they're like, sign-ups for the tournament. And, I was playing against John, the other John, the other mono water John.
Yeah.
And he was actually getting ready to beat me.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, you know what, you got it. I'm out of here. So.
Yep.
And which sucks because he was like, no, because I want to play title too. So he probably just ended up getting up as well.
Yeah, I think he might have also played.
Which is funny because he was also playing Tactics, which we didn't find out until later. So now we're going to talk about a little bit about the title format and the tournament. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Title format is a lot of fun.
It was fun.
And it is a great way to get people into the game if they're a fan of a particular, if they're a fan of a particular game in the series. You can build a title format deck. And the rules are a little bit different. Color doesn't really apply.
Only to abilities.
Except abilities, yeah. So, you could pitch 2 water cards to play a Delita, who's an earth card. But if it's the leader that has an ability that requires Earth, you have to have Earth to play the ability.
Yeah. And then also the legend rule doesn't apply except to the specific card itself, so you can play a 5-drop Delita and a 3-drop Delita at the same time.
So it's a really neat format. The decks are pretty synergistic, and it's really neat that you can play. It gives you a chance to play your favorite character. So I urge everybody, if you play this game, build a title deck around the game you like. And it's unfortunate they're not all created equal. Like obviously, I've said it many times. 6 is my favorite game. 6 has a ton of forwards, but they don't really have any summons, and they have only got like a couple backups. But yeah, I could use the 1-drop backups. Yeah. But you don't really there's not really much else happening, especially when you have a lack of summons. Like, you better bring something else to the table. Like, 6 brings a bunch of really powerful forward abilities to the table, but then you're running a deck of 38 forwards and the rest is backups. So, what were you running for title?
So my favorite game is Final Fantasy VII.
It would be.
Yeah. So I was like, if I'm gonna play in title, I might as well play a 7 deck and have some fun with it. Play my favorite game. So I ended up building pretty much Cloud and Vincent the deck.
Oh yeah, because there's so many copies of them, and they've all got special abilities, so you're never running out of ammo there.
Yeah, I lost count of how many specials I got to use in the Swiss round. I all the rounds of Swiss. But yeah, so basically it was just a ton of Clouds, a ton of Vincents with a lot of the 7. The only thing that really sucks about 7 is their summons are
they're
trash.
They're doo-doo butter.
I was running 2 Bahamut Fury. That was basically it. So pretty much I had to win off my specials.
Oh, sure. And you did. You did end up doing very well.
Yeah. So you want to talk about how you did first?
Yeah, so I was playing Final Fantasy Tactics, which is... The deck, honestly, is kind of plays itself because you've got really big, stupid forwards. So you've got, the 5-cost Delita, the 3-cost Delita that breaks a character, which is great because now you're breaking your, backup, your Duke Goltana, so you can get another one to search. You're playing the 6-drop Ramza. You're playing the in this, the 3-drop Ramza from Opus 3. And in this format, that card is busted.
Oh, yeah.
That I think I had him up to a 15K at one point.
Yep.
So, and then you have 7-drop Odin. You have Opus 1 Leviathan.
Yep.
You have you even have access to Carbuncle. You have Fairy. You have a lot of Tactics has really good summons, and they're all EX burst.
Yep.
So I played that. I didn't do the best. I went 2-3. I won my first game, lost my second game, had to play you in round 3, lost that one. Then I won my next one. Then I lost my last one. Yep. It's not because the deck is hard to play. These 5 games of Title were the first 5 I've ever played, and I was having fun, and I just didn't know what I was doing for the most part. And I got to remember that this deck in particular, Tactics, you got to play it kind of like a water deck. You need to build your backups, because once you build your backups, man, you're not losing.
Oh yeah. All their forwards have a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I went 4-1, and there was no cut. It was just however you finished in Swiss, and then that was how they handed out the prizes. So there was no undefeated. So I actually had the same record as all the top 3 had 1 loss.
Nice.
But their tiebreakers were slightly better than mine, so I ended up finishing 3rd.
Sure.
And got some pretty cool prizes out of it.
Yeah, nice.
So it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was able to do a lot of Omni slashes, a lot of Cloud specials.
Mm-hmm.
Played against some cool decks. I played against the Final Fantasy V deck. That was really interesting.
The Bart's deck? Yeah.
No, it was Dawn Warriors.
What?
Yeah, and Final Fantasy V also has no backups. So he was running just all the 1-drop backups.
Uh-huh.
And he had the Gilgamesh, the 4-drop Gilgamesh with all the abilities on it, which was really good for him. And we went back and forth. That game was actually really close.
Mm-hmm.
But I just dropped Minerva, and that was kind of it. Because Minerva's a 7 character.
That's really good. That seems real good.
Yeah, so... yeah, his deck was interesting. I played against a Final Fantasy 14 deck. That was interesting. I completely forgot that Amon was a 14 card.
Oh, yeah.
But I was able to win that one, too. My 1 loss was my first opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Final Fantasy 11. And I just could not keep up with him.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped, turn 1 Shadow Lord, blew up my Yuffie.
Mm-hmm.
Into, turn 2 Volker, make it where my Vincent can't block, attack, and then every time he dropped an 11 character, something couldn't block.
Yeah, it seems really good.
And it was just boom, 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 calm, Lanat. Just started, everything was coming down, and I got beat up pretty bad. I think it was 7-0. It might have been 7-1. It was not good. So I'm man, I'm terrible at Title. I was thinking, going out of that route, and then I ended up winning out.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, you did good, man. Type 0 cadets was definitely the flavor of the tournament. And there was, 25 people in this tournament?
I think something like that.
Yeah. Which was for an impromptu title tournament, 25 people, man, that's sometimes you don't even get local tournaments that end up being that high. You know
it was a lot of fun too. And again, a lot of the players pretty high caliber, do what they were doing.
Oh yeah. Even the people playing title, and just, man, they were all having fun playing that format. I'm actually going to be building. I'm going to build that same deck that Jonathan let me borrow, so I want to have that one, and then I still want to have my 12 deck, because 12 seemed
I think 12 is really good.
Yeah, one of my first opponent was playing 12, but he couldn't get over my 2 Ramzas, and the fact that a lot of the 12 characters are 3 cost, 6-drop Ramza was just kill him next turn, kill him. The only one I couldn't kill was Ash because he had Wrestler out, but I just kept the 3-drop Ramza up the whole time, and it's yeah, you can't get over this.
Yep. And 6-drop Ramza is probably pretty big at that point too.
Oh yeah, he was I want to say he was a 12K or a 13K.
Yeah,
He's dumb.
He gets big, man. Like I said, when that card works, it works. This is good. Yeah. So after the title, there were some raffles.
No, shit. I wouldn't know it because.
Yeah. So basically, anytime you competed in something as a side event, so we got a couple tickets for doing Wolves Den. We got a ticket for doing title.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think at the end they just gave a ticket to everyone in the
just to
event,
give out the last few prizes they had.
So I was able to win a Uno playmat, which I'm still not sure what I'm gonna do with yet, because I'm not really I have no use for it really, but so it might be involved in some kind of giveaway we might do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to win a few packs, as well as because I was top 8 for the title tournament, I got one of the pre-release playmats.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also won the deck box for top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I won another raffle. I think that was it. It was the packs of the playmat. I think that was it.
Then didn't you win sleeves in a raffle?
Oh yeah, no, the sleeves were also part of the top 3.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I had bought the Vincent sleeves because they were selling all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of day 2, they didn't have that stuff day 1.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they set up the merch booth pretty hard on day 2.
Yeah, so I snagged some sleeves and I snagged a plushie that I wanted.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. And then after that, we went to do draft. There was literally we were just standing around. We were about to get food. We're kind of checked out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting hungry. But then somebody was like, "Oh, we got 6 people for draft. We need 2 people."
We were like, "Yeah, you want to go draft?"
Yeah, we were like, "Yeah, let's do
it. Let's go draft." And honestly, drafting in this game is kind of fun. Now, it's kind of unfortunate because, it's not like Magic where the sets are made to be drafted. Though one could argue Opus 5 kind of is because it's literally like, hey, let's just draft a bunch of big dumb guys and play them. But drafting in this game is kind of fun. We were in an 8-man pod, and so it's typical, like just like in Magic, you open up your pack, you pick a card out, you pass it to the left, and then you're just moving them around until you get them. I ended up drafting a pretty solid deck. One of my packs had a foil Y'shtola legend in it, so I was like, well, because I was actually drafting fire water, because I'm seeing like Luneth, I'm seeing Vosslers, I'm seeing Leviathans, I'm seeing just a lot of good creatures that have a lot of synergy, and same thing with backups. I'm seeing a lot of fire, but then like. I get that Y'shtola. I'm like, well, I'm not passing this. I'm just going to rare draft the shit out of this one. So I kept that one. I was like, well, maybe I should look into green. So the next pack you passed me over has an Adele. Like, you passed me an Adele. Because I think you said you
I was
weren't
running... So I was drafting Lightning, Water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason for me to rare draft an Adele because I have 3. And it wasn't like a foil or anything. So there's really like zero reason for me not to pass it to you. Because I needed other forwards and I wasn't running Wind at all. So she does me no good. So if I'm picking her, I'm literally only picking her to prevent
hate drafting
other people from getting her.
And it was just funny because I was like, well, I'm taking that. Then you passed me the Adele. I'm like, well, no, I'm definitely going to splash some green in there. So I take that. We finish that pack. And then on the next rotation, coming the other direction, I can kind of see, I lean back and I'm not intentionally looking at the guy because he's kind of leaned forward. He's like, actively like with the cards out. There's no poker hand here. Mm-hmm. So I kind of glance over and I see like the cards and I see another foil Y'shtola like in his hand. So I'm like, I don't even think about it. I was like, oh, that he's going to take it. So he puts the thing down in front of me and I start thumbing through it. That foil Y'shtola is still there. So I'm like, that's mine too. And then I pass it over.
To me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I draft I get a couple like win backups. So I'm probably running 6 win cards in the deck, which is, it's like 2 Rex, an Echo, a Thief, a Ranger backup, and the 2 Y'shtolas and a Adele.
Yep.
So maybe 6 or 7. So I'm like, that's enough. That's all the green I need, because if I see him, I see him. If I don't, I don't. So I immediately paid for my $15 draft with these 2 foil Y'shtolas, which means that was a pretty decent box from what we saw, because I know there was a Cecil in there. There was a Phoenix.
There was an Orphan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good box.
Yeah, so I ended up... You and me had to play first round.
So yeah, we didn't know, but apparently, while we were drafted, he goes, okay, now your first round opponents are already sitting across from you. And I was like, well, okay, that sucks a little bit, but okay, that's fine, it's draft, I don't care. My build kind of sucked, honestly. Like I wasn't able to get like any big beaters, like no Kamlanot, no Birdman, no Vaughn, like no 5-drops, no Lanista, like none of that stuff. So basically, I just had a deck with like a bunch of 3 and 4 drops, mainly 3 drops. Like I think I had 4 Moogle Knights.
Wow.
The Dragoons were pretty decent in our match, and it was single in. It was just a bracket, single in bracket. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a blowout. Like I think I got like 4 points of damage in or something. But yeah, I couldn't hang with the bigger forwards once like Kamlanot and Volker can't drop down.
Yeah, because I had Luneth and a bunch of like the 2-drop warriors that give all the fire forwards +2. Then I had Vokler and the 4K. And then I had Ayane. Yeah, I had that. So I had a lot of really good fire forwards. So I won that. Go to game 2. I win on a Phoenix blowout play. I play Y'shtola, he plays Phoenix, and I pop it, and that I never looked back after that.
Yeah, that's pretty bad in draft if you cancel a 7-cost summon. You're probably...
Yeah, and then I won because there was 4. I think it ended up being 4 games. Yes, it was 4 games.
Yeah.
1, 2. Yeah, because I had to play 4 games. So I won. Then I won my next game pretty quickly, and then I lost in the finals to pretty much the guy who drafted all the 5-drops.
Yep.
Because this guy goes like. Turn 1, I forget what he played. It was like a 3-drop or something. Then he goes, fucking bird. No, he drops the 4-mana 9K Earth guy that can't block.
Yeah, the Berserker.
Yeah, he drops that. Next turn he drops Birdman. Next turn he drops Kamlanot. Then on the turn after that he drops the
Lanista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I couldn't get over that. But here's the thing. I hung in that game so well. The reason he won, like I could handle his beaters because I had a Yane who was a 10K because I made sure I went to 5 points of damage before I started, before I picked and chose where I blocked to make sure that she's now a 10K. So now I'm bigger than all of his stuff. But then he's got the big dumb guy that I like from Earth that he gets +1 for each damage you have. So I was like, that's his name. Okay. So I don't pay attention.
I know. It's okay.
This is kind of a recurring theme here. But, because I keep thinking that guy's like a berserker too. I don't know. Because they look almost exactly alike. But,
well, they're both the same race.
Oh, there you go. That explains
in the game.
Yeah. So, he just eventually because he's got the ice backup that's just a monster and seal.
Arcanist.
Yeah, Arcanist. He's cool. This number can't attack. And I was like, well, all right. He just stopped Ayane from attacking every turn, and I just couldn't get over the hump. So it was 6 damage to 5.
Yep.
It was good. It was a good game. I was actually surprised I was able to. And then like maybe an hour ago before we started this, I was like, oh yeah, I had green mage in my deck. I was like, I could have stopped that anarchist for a turn and just not anarchist. That's it.
Arcanist.
Arcanist. Yeah, I was like. I could have probably stopped that for a turn and then pushed the damage through. Yeah, but, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But, I had a great time because I didn't give a shit at that point. I had 2 foil Y'shtolas.
Yep.
Everything else was just icing.
Yeah. So all in all, it was a lot of fun. Day 2 was fun, too.
Yeah, these events, I urge people, if you're curious about traveling to an event, just pull the trigger on it. Yeah, I realize it can get expensive. Like, we were kind of fortunate that we were able to stay with a buddy.
Yep.
That we used to play fighting games with, and so we had kind of free room and board for the weekend. Especially with the big event like PAX going on, where hotels were jacked through the roof. But if you like this game and you're serious about, or even semi-serious about being competitive with it, I think traveling out to these bigger tournaments, it's. I feel like you need to do it, if nothing else, for the experience, because it seems like maybe Square is coming around on the support for this. This was a big tournament. I mean, for this 91 players, like that's the biggest I've heard, other than outside of like the European tournaments
in America.
Yeah. I guess we'll narrow it down that way.
In America, and it's not nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was the biggest. It was great. Like, it was an awesome tournament. I definitely want to try to make as many Crystal Cups as I can. I think next on our list is probably going to be Gen Con. I don't think we're going to be able to make Toronto or Kansas City. I think those are the next 2.
Yeah.
But I will be watching.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
I'll be a chat monster on the stream.
Yeah, for sure. But Gen Con, I think, is definitely going to be the next go-to because there's 2 qualifiers there.
Yep. From what I understand, one is constructed, one is sealed.
That's fine.
And I believe it's Opus 6 comes out like a week or 2 before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
should be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a great time. Probably some of the most fun I've had playing this game since I started.
Oh, for sure. Because especially now with like the competition's there, like more people are playing, more people are showing up, and it's really cool to meet these other communities. Like I said, some of these guys, we've talked to on Facebook, but we've never like shook hands and said what's up. Like this was the first time I got a chance to meet a lot of these guys, and. It's cool that when, you get recognition from these people too, like, oh, hey, congrats, you did a great job in Ohio, Chris. Oh, shit, yeah, he's a good player. Oh, Adam Lane, oh, yeah, he's a good player. Like they know that we're legit in this game, and we're just trying to make the community better for everybody.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I think there's a lot of mutual respect.
There is
across the board, and everybody's super nice, and everybody that I played, like the level of play was very high. I'll say it again. I know I sound like a...
No, but it's true, man. Like it's true. Like the level of play was high, and just the quality of person was actually really good too.
Yep.
Like none of these people who show up to these tournaments in particular, like none of them are assholes, man. They're all just good people.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, I mean to that point, like, I mean, shout outs to like the Pennsylvania dudes were cool. We hung out with them for a while, like Mike and Colin. Me and Colin talked about ice builds for. Probably a good 30, 45 minutes, just trying to figure out like what cards work for him, what cards work for me, like the differences in our 2 builds.
Andrew's a good egg.
Yep. Yeah, we talked to him for a while. Shot the shit. Mike had to play him, in round 2. We were able to talk for a little bit, and some of the other dudes that I don't really remember all their names, but I mean they're a good crew, awesome guys. Then the Florida guys is always like Sam Riley, Andy, and all them. I talked to Andy too for a while about his deck.
Yeah, Jonathan, good egg. Enjoyed the top 16 trouncing.
Yeah, all awesome dudes. The California dudes that came over, Okimoto,
Brian. Yeah,
they were
really good guys, man.
All
really
awesome too.
Good eggs. Greg was a really good human being too, man. Like, it's really cool. Like, just again, like I say, man, I can't say enough about the lack of toxicity in this community. I'm sure people have experienced it, but I haven't.
No.
And that's awesome. It's very refreshing to see.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets salty sometimes, but as far as just like, I mean, most of the time, I haven't really dealt with it much in this game. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm coming from fighting games, so I'm used to that.
You're used to high salt levels, high sodium levels, for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, other than that, we were able to talk with Rob from FFTCG.com.
Yeah.
And I think going forward, we're going to try to hook up with him more, maybe sync up with them, try to get them on the podcast, maybe join. I think they have a podcast as well. We'll probably end up maybe trying to be on theirs.
Yeah, they're trying to make like a hub for like content, so you can go to their site and well, cool. There's links to these. Here's links to these, similar to what we're doing, but like it. I want it to be like a cooperative thing. Like, hey man, we totally want to link up with you, and you link up with us, so that way the more people that can see the content, the better. Because I want to see this game grow. And Rob, I enjoyed talking to him the first day we were there.
Yeah, super awesome dude. And
so smart handing out business cards.
Yeah,
and
as soon as he handed them to me, I was like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a good idea. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to sync up with him, and I think there's going to be more things to come on that front. I think there's going to be more collaborations in general. Like, we talked to a lot of players this weekend. I want to have more people on here so we can like pick their brains too. Get what's going on in other communities as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to do some stuff with the old Choka Bros and Jonathan, who his YouTube channel is Emo Tempest.
Yep.
They're all always doing some interesting, tournament reports. They're also always doing, neat deck text. A lot of the stuff that we're getting into. So, yeah, dude, expect a lot more stuff. And one of the things that we're talking about is doing like giveaways and raffles.
Yeah, I mean we're starting to stockpile some things. We got a few cards signed by Kageyama.
Yep.
That I think we're gonna plan on giving away as well as probably some play mats, some other stuff that we got that we don't need all this stuff.
Yeah, I want to share swag.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to build more of a base of like people to listen to us as well as give you guys something.
Yeah, I want you guys to have, especially if you're in a position where you can't travel to some of these things, like like we got these neat tote bags. You're gonna look damn good going to your local Whole Foods shopping for organic produce with your Final Fantasy trading card game tote bag.
So I guess to end this episode, I want to give two final shout outs. One, the staff, the judges, RB, the lady that was signing cards.
I want to say her name was Kelsey.
She was
Casey.
awesome, and she was doing some really cool stuff with cards.
Dude, what she did with my locks was just a work of art.
Yeah, so the Square Enix staff, the judges were working hard. All were nice, very nice people.
Yeah, they all busted their ass this weekend.
And then on top of that, Kageyama was there, so shout out to him too. Creator of the game, also a super nice dude. Gave a couple of speeches, I think, throughout the day.
Yeah, he gave us a nice little like top 16 pep talk. I felt like, man, it was like I thought Idris Elba was canceling the apocalypse on me. It was really, 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 really good.
So I mean, all around was a good time. So I think with that, we're probably gonna be signing off. Our next episode will probably be in about a week or so.
Yeah, a week or so from now. We're gonna talk. I think we're gonna focus more on coming up with new builds. I think I love Fire Ice. It's my deck. I'm gonna keep it together, but I think I'm gonna put it on the shelf for a few weeks and experiment with some other stuff. The deck coming up that I really want to play. Man, after playing with Ramza this weekend, I was like, I want to play Knights. That guy's dumb.
Speaking of that, you should check out our YouTube video where we played that, and I played a build. Which is probably going to be pretty similar to what you're building. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that card's great. So with that, I guess we should probably sign off.
Yeah, we're letting this run on a little too long, but we're just still pretty amped up from the weekend. But until next time, guys, we're probably going to hit the Fredericksburg local on the way home to get one more tournament in for the weekends out. But thanks for listening, guys. Always a pleasure.
Catch you later.